Hey, this is Pitch Black Wings, and today I'm doing another drawing tutorial, this time for wings, because that's something that a lot of people have asked for in the past. There are two main types of wings, I suppose. The first is dragon wings, and these are mostly leathery. They belong to giant reptilian beasts, but they can also belong to smaller, cuter creatures. They can be a variety of shapes, but usually the complexity increases with the amount of joints you add in. So the more joints your dragon has in their wings, the longer it's going to take to draw those wings, and the more detail is going to be put into those wings. How you're going to draw a dragon wing is you're going to start out with the basic shape of how the wing unfurls, like so. Draw extra lines for however many fingers your dragon's wing is going to have. A lot of dragons have a claw at the top, so draw that in real quick. And then this is the shoulder. It's going to be where the wing attaches to the body. Make sure to pose that right. And then make extra lines along the ones you've drawn for structure. These are going to be the fingers of your dragon wing, and they work a lot like bats. Connect the spaces in between the wings with little curves and arches and loops. This is where the wing attaches to the back of the dragon, so you're going to want that to be flat against the back. Curve it upwards and then attach. If you want added detail, you can add little circles or lines to show the stretch between the wing. And then all you would do for this is turn down the opacity and you would outline that. So that's a finished wing of about medium difficulty. It doesn't take that long to draw. You can sketch them out pretty easily like this, especially if you don't have a lot of detail here. And you can put them in a lot of different positions. Opening and closing a wing is pretty easy when you remember where the fingers go and how the arches work. When the wing is splayed out, the arches are a lot longer and they curve more. When the wing is closed, they're going to be a lot sharper. So that's the first wing, and that's dragons. The second one we're going to look at today is going to be feathered wings. Those can belong to angels or the like. They can belong to birds. And feathered wings usually have a few curves. One here and one here, and then it tapers off here. And the structure of the wing usually goes like this. There's one curve there, one curve here. I keep drawing my arrows upside down. They end up looking like the Triforce, ignore that. And there's a third curve where it meets the back. It's lined with feathers in between, and it can be one layer of feathers, or two, or three, or however many you like, but the more layer of feathers you add, the more detail you're going to have to stick in there. Feathered wings are usually drawn like this by me. You draw the curve of how the outside of the wing looks first, because that's going to be the backbone. Make sure you make your curves nice and gradual unless the wing is closed. Start with the first layer of feathers. It's just a curving technique like so. It's very gentle, very sloping, and it doesn't matter if your feathers are all uniform or perfect, especially for the first layer. Start with the second, and they should be significantly longer than the first. Remember how your wing structure goes. You're going to want one curve there, one curve here, and one curve here. So make sure that your wing feather lengths correspond with that. They should be the longest at the front of the wing and then taper off near the back. It all really depends on how complex you want your wings to be, because that really does affect how they look. This is a pretty acceptable wing, but if you wanted to, you could outline it and then detail all of the feathers. Drawing individual feathers is pretty calming, especially if you don't detail them too much. Detail them too little though, and they start looking a lot like leaves. And you don't want leaves for your feathers. That just doesn't look right. This should not equal this. So, if you want to make a quick wing, like this is absolutely fine. It really doesn't matter as long as it gets the idea across. Cartoony wings are much easier. It's just curved feathers most of the time, but always the same curve idea is there. Feathery wings are a lot more rounded about than dragon wings. Those have a lot of angles. I mean, you can also do really angular feathery wings if you'd like, but it just doesn't look the same. That would probably be like for hawks or the like. Feathery wings can also look a lot messier if you're not careful than dragon wings, which is why you should definitely use layers, which I'm really not at this point. I apologize. Everything's getting a bit messy. So we have feathery wings and we have dragon wings. Pidge's wings are feathery, and they're drawn usually something like this. There's one curve at the back, and then a curve upward, and then back down again for the beginning of the wing. I start with the first layer of feathers, making sure to give them a little bit of fluff, because wings usually end in a fuzzy layer that blends together the fur of the animal. Then you start with the second layer of feathers, and notice that I'm making them pretty sharp, pretty angular. The first line for the feather is pretty straight, and then the second one is the one that curves backward a bit. There's only 2 or 3 layers of feathers total, and another cool trick you can use for making your feathery wings is that the first feather on the outside here points out a bit more, and then the other feathers on the outside layer are really uniform and close together. This gives the idea of a little bit of aerodynamicy, I suppose. Really cool in my opinion. To make a feathery wing open or close, it's just adjusting the angle with which the original lines are drawn for the base. Closed, open, all you need to do is make sure that that curved line is moved to the right position. And then from there, it just takes some practice, and you've got a good wing.